Gunsmoke, starring James Arness as Matt.
What does it take for a television show to survive not just years, but decades, to captivate audiences across 20 seasons through cultural revolutions, presidential assassinations, and a man walking on the moon? In the case of Gunsmoke, it took more than just bullets and badges. It took a revolution in storytelling that would change television forever. For 20 years, from 1955 to 1975, Marshal Matt Dillon walked the dusty streets of Dodge City, Kansas, becoming as much a part of American culture as baseball and apple pie. But this wasn't just another TV Western. At a time when television was dismissed as a wasteland of mindless entertainment, Gunsmoke dared to be different. It gave us complex characters, moral ambiguity, and stories that didn't always end with the good guy winning. Through 635 episodes, the longest run of any scripted primetime live-action series in US television history at the time, Gunsmoke didn't just tell stories about the American West, it told stories about humanity itself. In an era when most westerns painted their heroes in pristine white and their villains in pitch black, Marshal Dillon's world was filled with shades of gray. But how did a simple radio show transformation become television's most enduring drama? What made millions of Americans tune in week after week to watch the adventures of a small-town marshal and his eclectic group of friends? And perhaps most importantly, why does Gunsmoke's legacy continue to resonate in today's era of peak television? To understand the phenomenon of Gunsmoke is to understand America itself, its values, its struggles, and its endless fascination with the frontier spirit. This is the story of how a Western became more than just a Western, how a television show became a cultural touchstone, and how Marshal Matt Dillon became America's lawman. Historical context. The birth of Gunsmoke in 1955 came at a pivotal moment in American history. Post-World War II, America was experiencing unprecedented prosperity, with television sets rapidly becoming the centerpiece of living rooms across the nation. By mid-decade, nearly 2/3 of American homes had a TV, transforming how entertainment was consumed and how stories were told. The 1950s were marked by deep cultural contradictions. While suburban life portrayed an image of peaceful domesticity, the nation grappled with Cold War anxieties, the Red Scare, and the early stirrings of the Civil Rights Movement. Television, still in its infancy, was searching for its identity, and Westerns emerged as the perfect vehicle to explore American values and morality in a rapidly changing world. The Western genre had already established itself in literature and film, but television offered new possibilities. Shows like The Lone Ranger and Hopalong Cassidy had proven popular, but they largely adhered to simplistic moral tales. The American audience, however, was growing more sophisticated, shaped by the complexities of the post-war world and the emerging nuclear age. Into this landscape stepped Gunsmoke, arriving at a time when Americans were questioning traditional narratives while still clinging to foundational myths about their nation's past. The show emerged during an era when television was transitioning from live broadcast to filmed series, from East Coast production to Hollywood dominance, and from simple entertainment to more nuanced storytelling. This was also the period when adult westerns began to replace the juvenile cowboy adventures of early television, reflecting a maturing medium and audience. Development. The journey of Gunsmoke from radio waves to television screens began in 1952, when writer John Meston and producer Norman Macdonald created a revolutionary radio drama that would change the Western genre forever. The radio version of Gunsmoke, starring William Conrad as Matt Dillon, broke new ground with its gritty realism and adult themes, running successfully until 1961. CBS chairman William S. Paley, recognizing the show's potential for television, personally championed its adaptation. However, the transition wasn't simple. The network knew they needed a commanding physical presence to embody Marshal Matt Dillon, someone who could capture the character's complexity while maintaining the rugged appeal necessary for television. The search led them to John Wayne, who declined the role but played a crucial part in the show's development by recommending James Arness. Wayne's endorsement proved pivotal, so much so that he filmed a special introduction for the television premiere, telling viewers, "I've seen a lot of young fellas come along, and this James Arness is the best of them." This passing of the torch from cinema's greatest Western star to television's new lawman marked a significant moment in entertainment history. The development team faced numerous challenges in adapting the radio format. They needed to maintain the sophisticated storytelling that made the radio show successful, while creating a visual world that would captivate television audiences. The character of Miss Kitty, played by Amanda Blake, was expanded from her radio counterpart, adding depth to the show's exploration of frontier life and gender roles.
Well, I didn't figure that passing out a few pills is very hard work.
Passing out pills?
The creative team, including producer Norman Macdonald and writer John Meston, insisted on maintaining the radio show's adult themes and moral complexity. They fought against network pressure to simplify storylines or soften the show's realistic portrayal of frontier violence, establishing a precedent for mature television programming that would influence decades of future shows. Production. Gunsmoke's production values set new standards for television westerns, pioneering techniques that would influence the industry for decades. The show began filming at Hollywood's famous Melody Ranch, where the permanent set of Dodge City became one of television's most recognizable locations. However, unlike many studio-bound shows of the era, Gunsmoke regularly ventured into real locations, particularly in California's Alabama hills, bringing authentic western landscapes to viewers' homes. The technical challenges were considerable for the period. Initially shot in black and white, the show's transition to color in 1966 required significant adjustments in lighting, makeup, and set design. The production team developed innovative methods for filming gunfights, creating more realistic sequences than had previously been seen on television. They utilized multiple camera setups and sophisticated editing techniques that would later become industry standards. Budget considerations were always a factor, but Gunsmoke maintained high production values throughout its run. The show employed a full-time researcher to ensure historical accuracy in everything from costumes to weaponry. The attention to detail extended to the show's sound design, with particular care given to outdoor acoustics and the iconic gunshot effects that opened each episode. The production schedule was grueling, with episodes typically filming in 6 days. The show's longevity required constant maintenance and updating of sets, props, and costumes. Despite the challenges, the production team maintained consistency in the show's look and feel, even as television technology and viewer expectations evolved over 2 decades. Content analysis. Gunsmoke's remarkable 20-year run can be divided into distinct periods, each marked by its own narrative evolution and stylistic changes. The show produced an astounding 635 episodes, making it one of the most extensive television narratives ever created. The early years, 1955 to 1961, established the show's gritty, realistic tone. These black and white episodes, typically running 30 minutes, focused tightly on moral dilemmas and raw frontier justice. Marshall Dillon's character was notably harder edged during this period, with James Arness portraying him as a complex lawman who sometimes made difficult, morally ambiguous choices. Key episodes like The Q, 1957, tackled racism against Chinese immigrants, while Potato Road, 1958, explored themes of revenge and redemption. The middle period, 1961 to 1967, marked the show's transition to hour-long episodes, allowing for more complex storytelling and deeper character development. This era saw the relationships between core characters flourish, particularly the subtle romance between Matt and Miss Kitty, and the friendship between Doc Adams and Festus Hagen, who replaced Chester Good after Dennis Weaver's departure in 1964. Notable episodes included 7 Hours to Dawn, 1965, a tense hostage drama that demonstrated the show's ability to sustain longer, more intricate narratives. The later years, 1967 to 1975, brought significant changes, including the switch to color broadcasting and a more contemporary feel in both storytelling and production values. While maintaining its Western setting, the show began addressing more modern social issues. Episodes like Women for Sale, 1973, dealt with human trafficking, while Stark, 1975, explored post-traumatic stress in returning soldiers, though set in a post-Civil War context. Throughout all periods, Gunsmoke maintained several consistent elements: Matt Dillon's unwavering sense of justice, the found family dynamic among the core characters, and the show's unflinching portrayal of frontier life's hardships. The series regularly subverted Western tropes, avoiding simple good versus evil narratives in favor of more nuanced storytelling. Each season built upon established character histories while introducing new elements to keep the show fresh. The writers masterfully balanced episodic storytelling with longer character arcs, allowing viewers to drop in for individual episodes while rewarding regular viewers with deeper character development and recurring themes. The show's ability to evolve while maintaining its core identity was perhaps its greatest strength, helping it remain relevant and compelling through 2 decades of dramatic social and cultural change in America. Behind the scenes, the longevity of Gunsmoke was matched by the remarkable stability of its core cast, anchored by James Arness's 20-year commitment as Marshal Matt Dillon. Arness's dedication to the role was legendary. He appeared in every season, missing only 7 episodes throughout the entire run, despite suffering from chronic leg pain from a World War II wound that made horseback riding challenging. Amanda Blake's portrayal of Miss Kitty Russell spanned 19 seasons, creating one of television's most complex female characters. Her decision to leave the show in 1974 was driven by her desire to spend more time with her family and animal welfare work. The chemistry between Blake and Arness became legendary, though the show never fully resolved their characters' romantic relationship, maintaining a subtle tension that captivated audiences for nearly 2 decades. The cast dynamics shifted significantly with Dennis Weaver's departure in 1964. Weaver, who played Chester Good, left to pursue other opportunities, leading to Ken Curtis joining as Festus Hagen. Curtis brought a different energy to the show, and his verbal sparring with Doc Adams, Milburn Stone, became a beloved element of later seasons. Milburn Stone's portrayal of Doc Adams continued through the entire run, despite suffering a heart attack in 1971. The show worked around his recovery by temporarily writing in Pat Hingle as Dr. John Chapman, demonstrating the production's loyalty to its core cast. The show attracted numerous guest stars who later became Hollywood legends, including Harrison Ford, Burt Reynolds, Leonard Nimoy, and Charles Bronson. Many of these appearances came early in their careers, with Gunsmoke serving as a proving ground for emerging talent. Behind the camera, the show maintained remarkable consistency in its creative team. Producer John Mantley's leadership during the later seasons helped the show evolve while maintaining its essential character, working closely with a stable of talented directors and writers who understood the show's unique blend of drama and Western authenticity. Themes and impact Gunsmoke distinguished itself by tackling complex themes rarely addressed in television of its era. At its core, the show explored the tension between law and justice in a frontier society, frequently presenting Marshal Dillon with moral dilemmas that had no clear solutions. Unlike many westerns of the time, Gunsmoke regularly showed that having a badge didn't make ethical decisions any easier. The show broke new ground in its portrayal of Native Americans, attempting to present more nuanced characterizations than the stereotypes common in 1950s television. While not perfect by modern standards, episodes frequently depicted Native Americans as individuals with valid grievances and complex motivations, rather than as simple antagonists. Violence in Gunsmoke served a different purpose than in typical westerns. Rather than glorifying gunfights, the show often explored their tragic consequences and psychological impact. Marshal Dillon's reluctance to use force, despite his skill with a gun, sent a powerful message about the weight of taking human life. Through Miss Kitty's character, the show examined gender roles in the American West. As a successful businesswoman running the Long Branch Saloon, Kitty represented a level of female independence rarely seen in television of the era. Her relationship with Matt Dillon challenged conventional romantic tropes, presenting a partnership of equals rather than a traditional romance. The show consistently addressed social issues including racism, poverty, and injustice. Episodes dealing with land rights, economic exploitation, and prejudice against minorities reflected both historical realities and contemporary concerns of the 1950s to 70s. These themes were handled with surprising sophistication, often presenting multiple perspectives rather than simple moral lessons. Perhaps most significantly, Gunsmoke portrayed Dodge City as a community of interdependent individuals, emphasizing the importance of social bonds in civilizing the frontier. This focus on community building over lone hero mythology distinguished it from many Western contemporaries and reflected deeper truths about American development. Legacy: Gunsmoke's influence on television and popular culture continues to resonate decades after its final episode. The show's 20-year run held the record for longest-running primetime live-action series in U.S. television history until 2019, when Law & Order SVU finally surpassed it. A testament to its extraordinary longevity and impact, the series revolutionized the Western genre by proving that television could handle mature themes and complex storytelling. Its influence can be seen in later westerns like Deadwood and contemporary series like Yellowstone, which follow Gunsmoke's tradition of using the Western setting to explore modern social issues. In syndication, Gunsmoke found new audiences across generations. The show's episodes continue to air regularly, introducing new viewers to Marshal Dillon and the citizens of Dodge City. Its success in syndication helped establish the model for television series longevity beyond original broadcast. The show's approach to character development and moral complexity laid groundwork for modern television drama. Its willingness to let stories breathe, to explore gray areas, and to leave some questions unanswered influenced countless subsequent series. Modern Western revivals, from Longmire to 1883, owe a debt to Gunsmoke's pioneering blend of procedural storytelling and character-driven drama. The show's DNA can be found in any series that uses genre conventions to explore deeper human truths. If you've enjoyed this journey through television's most iconic Western, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into classic TV history. Hit that notification bell to make sure you don't miss it. Until then, keep watching and keep thinking.